how to not look insane when you're manifesting something amazing in your life as a sixth sensory. This can apply to your personal relationships, but it can apply to your projects that you're working on. Maybe you have a book cooking that you've always wanted to write, but you're scared that nobody's going to read it. Maybe you have this financial plan to get the thing that you've always wanted, like the new car or the new house, and you're so close, you're on the cusp of getting it. And yet you take your dream to your immediate family or your close friendships and they poo-poo it like, oh, you can't afford a car in this economy. That's not a wise decision. Or this is the worst time to buy a house. And there's like no time to write that book when we're all so busy working. And you get less than positive support. In fact, when you even dare to dream something big, people look at you like you're a little bit crazy. It's like, you're that person putting stuff all over the internet? Yes, it's all possible. Our dreams can come true. It's just that we're so used to living in a community that agrees that everything is bad, and therefore, why bother trying? Because it's easier to relax and do nothing and watch TV. And this social agreement is very seductive because we all feel comfortable talking about how bad the world is. There's so much evidence of it. And we all have compassion for each other that there's only so much we can do. And sometimes it is therapeutic when a big change has happened in the world to talk about it. Having said that, we just want to be aware that we're not getting stuck in the swamp in our constant day-to-day conversations. We want to be aware that we're putting our best foot forward. You may be facing some difficult financial circumstances, for example, and you don't know how to get out of it. The interest rate is high. You don't know where to go to declare bankruptcy, or maybe you can't declare it because you have a mortgage, and whatever your circumstances are, the important thing is you just have to lean into the possibility that your future is bright and that you can make whatever you need happen. Often what gets us into trouble financially is that we have a series of many desires, many transactions that end up costing us a lot of money, like we have to have the latest gym shorts, or we have to eat out, or we have to spend a lot of money on transportation to be somewhere that we don't really want to be. And all of those little micro transactions, you can look at them and see what's really necessary. What kind of changes in my lifestyle can I make to get these transactions even a little bit smaller? They don't even have to go away completely, but maybe you buy a different kind of food than what you're used to buying because the prepackaged stuff at the grocery store is costing you too much money. Or if you're eating takeout, maybe you do buy the prepackaged thing at the grocery store because that is about the same amount of time and it saves you money. And then you can progress and get better at cooking and eventually cook with raw materials, which are less expensive and more healthy. You could also look at finding alternate modes of transportation. Maybe you can get a bike and start biking places that you need to be where you don't need to carry heavy loads like you do in your car, or you can start walking to places instead of taking your car and seeing if you can become less dependent on the car overall in order to save money. You could also look into lowering all of your bills. Look at all the different companies you pay bills with and compare them all online and see if there are ways to reduce your expenditures. These things will help you feel better about your bright future and help you lean into possibility that maybe you can have that new car, that maybe you can have those new house or the new vacation you've been hoping for. You should pick the thing that pulls you forward. And a lot of financial gurus say, save your emergency money, and it's not bad advice, but the only problem with that sort of advice is our heart is not in it. How exciting is it to have $2,000 in the account because that's in case something bad happens? It's not a really compelling future to pull you forward, and while it's practical advice, you might need something else along the way to really pull you forward. Maybe you save for a vacation and an emergency fund at the same time in two different accounts. And then when you've saved both at the same time, that's when you feel confident you can go on that vacation, for example. Or maybe you need to save for your house first to feel like you have a compelling future and that you're going to own property. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do know that when we pick goals according to what compels our heart, we're much more likely to achieve them compared to just doing stuff because the experts told us to do something. The most important piece of advice, if you don't want to look crazy and you do want to make your dreams come true, is you have to visualize every single day in little bite-sized pieces how the dream is going to come into fruition. Think about each little bit of money that you're going to save each and every day, and how it's all going to contribute to that big goal at the end. And that's how you break down writing a book too. You have a big outline and a big vision for what the book is going to be, and then you write pieces of it at the time. This is how you break down big dreams into little goals. And the other thing to not look crazy in front of other people is you may not want to talk about your big goals in front of people unless you find a really supportive community of kind people who are gonna be your cheerleaders. You also want to have your goals in a prominent place so you remember them, but even better is to have it up in your mind. Visualize when you wake up at the beginning of the day. What is it that I need to be doing today in order to achieve my bigger goals? What do I need to do in the morning? What can I do in the afternoon? Are there times that are blocked off because I'm busy doing something else that's important that is not related to this goal? Sometimes what stops us from achieving a goal, it's not that we don't want it, but we may have multiple conflicting goals that are competing for attention. And in that case, you sort of prioritize which one is the most important and work on that. It's also okay to pivot and change your mind on goals, just as long as you're not doing that so often that you're sabotaging yourself and not getting anything done. But there are moments where we truly evolve and we thought one priority was super important, and then we have to pivot and make a change and realize that something else is important. Something urgent has come up that we have to give our attention to, and that's okay. And then we can always go back to the old priorities, the old goals, when we have more time and energy to work on them. You just don't want to let those important goals sit by the sidelines too long before you lose the inspiration to work on them again.